Hello and welcome to HISD News. I'm Colleen Allen. While most HISD students return to school this week ready to start the second half of the 2011-2012 school year, several hundred actually started an entire new grade.
Multiply, what's 5 times 2?
10.
At the High School Ahead Academy, 86% of the student body has qualified mid-year to be promoted to the next grade level. The campus, which is essentially an overage middle school, is designed to get students back on track to graduate with their peers. Students at the High School Ahead are exposed to an accelerated curriculum which essentially combines 2 years of school into one. Students are given individualized lesson plans, double blocks of language and math, and are taught in a smaller classroom environment with teachers trained in accelerated instruction. Students at several HISD middle schools are getting the unique experience of talking one-on-one with a published author. Sarah Osborne has more.
Thanks for your question very much.
Students at Edison Middle School participated in a pilot program called Viva Houston, which stands for Virtual Interaction with Visiting Authors. Houston's own Andrea White, who is a published author herself, started the idea.
She had this idea that she wanted to be able to inspire students that they could write, and she wanted to promote Texas authors and make children aware of the fact that they're authors in their own backyards.
The idea behind Viva Houston is that students would read an assigned book and then be able to interact one-on-one with the author.
I was so proud of the kids. They did such a good job reading the book. They had a reading log every night and had to keep up with it, and it was a lot to keep up with. And they were so excited to ask her questions.
Students were able to talk to White about her newest science fiction novel, Windows on the World.
How long did it take you to write the book?
Each student was able to ask White questions about her book, the characters, and her writing. The goal is that students will get to know the author better, which will lead to a greater enjoyment of reading and inspire kids to write on their own.
It was awesome to know her better and to understand why she wrote the book and how she loved it and how she got the characters out of her mind.
I really enjoyed talking to her. It's actually my first time talking to an author.
When you were a kid, did you love to read?
Students were able to talk to White using Skype, a first for many of the children.
I think it was cool because it was my first time and I never done it before.
We knew that the Skyping was going to be one of the keys to make it possible for future authors as well who might not live in Houston. They might be in Texas somewhere.
The program plans to expand this spring, adding more schools and including additional writing styles such as poetry and short stories. So far, students are loving the experience.
If you know the author better, you understand the book better.
How did you come up with the title Windows on the World?
I think it was a very good idea. All of the students, seemed to like talking to the author.
Many of the students were inspired to start writing on their own.
I love the experience of talking to an author.
And even Andrea White took something away from the experience.
Kids' imaginations are so wonderful. They always have great ideas. I love to hear whether they think the future is going to be better or worse and how they can make it better.
In addition to Edison, Pershing, Pin Oak, Welch, Henry, and M.C. Williams middle schools also participated in the program. Back in October, HISD Superintendent Terry Greer held a series of community conversations with staff, students, and parents. Since those meetings, several issues brought to the superintendent's attention have been discussed and some have been resolved. Let's take a look.
Well, at the Community Conversations town meeting at Sharpstown, beginning of October, a parent stood up during the question and answer session and expressed her concerns about her daughter really coming home at the end of every day and having an empty stomach, a growling stomach. She wasn't eating anything. And so after the question and answer session, we talked more, and it come to find out this her daughter, this student, has a food allergy.
I'm allergic to seafood, and every time when I eat it, I get rashes.
We we scheduled a day to come to Elrod Elementary and actually talk with a student and walk through the process of how we could address that. And thankfully, HISD already has a really great process to address students who have food allergies.
He asked me a few questions. What happens when I eat fish? It starts from my feet to my back. And when it starts to my feet to my back, I'm gonna have to go to the hospital and get a few shots. Get a couple of shots to make it feel better.
You have $12.65. You buying something?
In this case, all we needed to do was make sure that this student did not eat seafood. And so when we can put a little note on that student's account, so when she comes through and swipes her ID card, there's a little note that pops up on the screen with her name that tells the cashier that she can't eat seafood, and it's as simple as that. Any food allergy that's documented that we have on file, we can enter that, and that will appear as the child comes through the line. So we make sure that the cashier can catch that if it hasn't previously been caught when the student enters the line. There are lots of students. There are between 500 to 600 students in the district with severe allergies, meaning from the range of very simple, relatively minor food allergies to potentially life-threatening allergies. And so based on the range and based on the needs of that student, we can, whether it's a note to refrain from a certain food or whether it's a complete diet modification. Perhaps the child can't chew and needs a pureed meal. We can do that. And so those notes are captured and communicated to kitchen staff so we can appropriately address those allergy concerns.
Many HISD students and staff were lucky enough to do some traveling over the winter break. But I doubt anyone went as far away from home as Benjamin Brooks, a senior at Houston's Academy for International Studies. Deborah Sanchez explains.
The sights and sounds of a star-studded concert in Beijing, China will forever be embedded in the mind of Benjamin Brooks.
Yeah, it was full of energy. Like everybody was so in for the cause.
The HISD high school senior traveled abroad this past December for the musical event, which featured Will I Am from the Black Eyed Peas, along with other famous musical artists.
We all came on stage and just started dancing together.
The concert was organized by the group Americans Promoting Study Abroad, or APSA, which selected Brooks and 6 other student ambassadors to represent the U.S.
Basically, they take students to China so they can be able to be immersed in the Chinese culture and to learn the Chinese language.
This is Brooks' second trip to China. He's also been to Cambodia. His international travels are all part of his studies at the Houston Academy for International Studies, or HISD.
The Houston Academy for International Studies was founded on the principle that we want to take Houston's everyday kids and send them abroad.
HISD principal Melissa Jacobs says Brooks is a perfect example of a student taking full advantage of the opportunities HISD has to offer.
He's gotten his associate's degree in 4 years of high school. He'll walk away with an associate's degree. He's traveled to 2 different countries on scholarships, not a penny out of his pocket. He went to Dartmouth for a summer for a speech and debate camp, and I think that he just exemplifies what HISD, what a school like HISD can do for students.
So after all that, what next? Brooks has already been accepted to Georgetown University, where he plans to get his undergrad and master's degrees in international relations.
Hopefully I will work for the embassy in Beijing, like the American embassy in Beijing.
Time now for the HISD Fast Fact of the Week, and it is related to China. Did you know that in the fall of 2012, HISD will be opening its first Confucius Institute? The school will serve as the hub of the district's Chinese language program and will house a dual-language Chinese school. That's it for this edition of HISD News. We leave you with some music from the Marshall Middle School Orchestra performing at a recent Fine Arts Friday event. Please remember to check us out on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook in the new year. Until next time, I'm Colleen Allen.